sunshines and sunnies. It is I, Queen J Lotus, King Sunkiss. Coming at y'all right quick, right fast. Certainly, maybe. That's my intent. Certainly. Because these are some. This literally. Okay, let me spit it out. This idea has been in the making for a long time, but I wasn't sure of how to go about it, how to exactly word the questions, to ask spirit and such. So, because today is 420, and it just made me think of higher consciousness. Okay, it zapped me right on in to the swing of the tank. So you've been noticing this whole saga theme and everything. It's not really just a saga. It's not really a phase, honey. It's a lifestyle for the neon jags, for the loud feminines, for the queer feminines, for the sacred rage of it all. Yes! And it has everything to do with the spectrum of queer. So I am here to get deeper into the queer things and defy the odds that have gone about trying to convince, and in some cases being successful, but trying to convince the world, the masses, the people, the individuals and such, that being queer, which means being different, being a black sheep, being loud, being odd, being peculiar, being witchy, being gay, bisexual, trans, non-gender binary, androgynous, whatever it is, that is innately demonic, that is something wrong with us. Baby, ain't nothing wrong. But the folks who talking that shit and don't know what they talking about. Some shit just is what it is. And one of the things that have remained is that, and this comes from my channel, honey. I ain't forcing you to believe nothing that you don't naturally believe or want to believe or Nathaniel. But through my spiritual gifts and experiences and channelings and all that, I have been spiritually let known that queerness is a superpower. And yes, being witchy is on that spectrum. Y'all know I am a prophetic artist, and that's all of what my page is about. Prophetic artistry. Artists, whether they know it or not, whether they claim it or not, are spiritual workers. Artists are inevitably witches. Inevitably. Just as gay people. However it fits under the umbrella of the spectrum, whatever, what have you, gay, straight, gay, bisexual, pansexual, whatever it is, you naturally have spiritual worker abilities that are specialized specifically in a top leadership sense. Okay? But we not gonna, like, that would be a whole video in itself for me to break down all of the specificities and all of that good stuff. I'm not gonna do that. There may come a time and a place where I decode and debunk certain things of certain spiritual text, whatever have you at some point, but it won't be today. Okay, so whoever's gonna ride with us is just gonna ride with us on this journey, and you're gonna go with the flow, and you'll know what you know as you go. Okay, and so I ain't gonna waste no more time. I'm gonna go ahead and get right into the cricks and crannies of these cards. For this video specifically, we are focused on homosexuality specifically. Okay, so people that are and or identify with homosexuality, meaning you only experience attraction in that way towards your homo sex, your same sex. Okay? Meaning, your straight up term, no pun intended, would be gay. Or lesbian if you identify as a lady. And I do acknowledge, understand, and you can consider yourself included if you are trans in any way, however you identify, yet homosexual. Okay? So if you're trans anything, but you're still attracted to the same sex, okay? Not gender, but sex. You fit here too. So I'm aware and I acknowledge that. So, like I said, you fit here too. And when I get to the trans section, of course, you'll fit there too. It's all good, right? Okay. Also, it is to be acknowledged as well if you are, let's say, bisexual, but you're in a homosexual marriage. This means that you have taken vows to and for a homosexual relationship, for richer reports, a death do you part, and all of that, whatever else is a part of the vows that y'all especially created for yourselves, you fit here too. Okay? And when we get to the bisexuals, you can fit there too. Even though you may not be, as some would say, practicing bisexuality, that's still a part of you, whether you're committed to both sexes or not. You still can look at certain people of multiple sexes and see, oh, I'm attracted to them, even if you don't act on that attraction. Okay? So we're well aware of the things. Okay, so however you identify, if you identify as both bisexual, but you in a homosexual commitment, we here. You transsexual, transgender, androgynous, but you are committed to homosexuality one way or another. That you are still homosexual, whatever. This your group, honey. Okay, and without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into the specificities of this read. What I asked for is to, and really I didn't ask because with the loud feminine energy, I am a loud feminine being. So a lot of the specialized high vibrational spirits of it all, they don't act until you declare and demand. So I divinely and respectfully declared and demanded for to be shown with clarity the higher consciousness of homosexuality, the specialized higher consciousness of homosexuality. Okay, as well as for the card in the middle that is still a representative of what I asked for, but it is also the Earth Warrior, which is a spiritual protector, guider, embracer, companion, okay, that helps support us through this Earth realm. And Earth Warriors are specialized for extremely, supernaturally special beings. I don't use these cards for everything. Everybody. You feel me? So you get the heat cuts. You know what it is. Bring it on home. Sucky, sucky, sucky. Boom, TikTok. And getting into. So the Earth Warrior card that y'all have, which is in the middle, this is representing one of y'all's high, divine, spiritual guides, spiritual protectors, spiritual companions that support the homosexual collective throughout their infinitive lives. Especially when it comes to the Earth realm. So, now straight out the gate, the first card that y'all have for y'all specialized higher consciousness of homosexuality is from the Sun and Moon Tarot, and it is the Eight of Pentacles. And this is a very creative card. And this is not limited to the stereotype. This is multi-dimensional alchemy type shit. Turning something out of nothing. You could also say putting 20 on 10 divinely. Putting 100 on 20 divinely, honey. How you go big on big? It's that type of energy. You want to see a bitch go down the slide? I'll show you how a bitch go down the slide. That's what it's giving. So this is the type of creative energy that is like all of the elements, all the strengths of the elements combined at once. So whatever you give this frequency, it is just fruitful and multiplies, which is why you got to be extra careful, because if you give it bullshit, it's gonna turn it into a field of fucking manure. So some specialized things about the Eight of Pentacles. This has a lot to do with style, aesthetics, paying very close attention to detail. It's the energy is the sun in Virgo. So this means very lively, very proactive, very, I see it, I want it, I plan for it, I go get it. I got it. And now that I got it, I'm gonna make the motherfucking most out of it. So straight out the gate, in a nutshell, the higher consciousness of homosexuality is making the most out of anything, even if it's nothing. Which, like I said, comes with that challenge that crossed the bear of being cautious, being mindful, being discerning about who and what your muses are, and who and what you are amused to and for. So what that brings up is being cautious of fetishes, understanding fetishizing or fetishization, however you're supposed to say it, versus actual adornment, infatuation versus actual passion and love, values, okay, versus somebody just trying to get something from you, or you just trying to get some instant gratification from the situation. So it's also given that the higher consciousness of homosexuality is heavily geared towards peeping when someone is trying to have a mutually beneficial relationship, be it love, business, family, whatever. Recognizing and being able to peep real good when someone is more concerned with how some shit look versus what it actually is, and versus when they're actually passionate about something versus when it's a vanity project, as well as monetizing being yourself. So what's coming through, especially with this Eight of Coins being the representative, is that a higher consciousness of homosexuality is having a really keen sense on monetizing the self, which is also why those, previous values and such that I explained are so important, because it's one thing to monetize who you are, and it's another thing to exploit yourself and or subject yourself to being exploited. right? Okay. And the previous principles and such that I was just communicating about is what makes those major differences. Understanding what you represent to people and what people and things represent to you, and what things about you are concerning you, surrounding you, and your identities and other stuff that you got going on represent to other people, regardless of what they may represent to you. Just like, of course, there are tons of people that, regardless of how much proof you show them, they will never believe the truth. Just like, regardless of how much proof anybody could show them that being queer, being gay, being trans, or whatever is not innately demonic, no matter how much proof you show them of that, they will always be committed to it representing whatever it is that they're committed to it representing for them. Okay, so that also ties into the symbolism of the figure of the letter 8, which it is shaped like an infinity sign. Infinity. And this has to do with amongst the way that the shape of the infinity sign and the letter 8 is made, like circles. Circles represent things that remain the same. But when you put it in the form of a figure 8 and or an infinitive sign, you get change in that intersection where you have one circle on the top, one circle on the bottom, and they are intersecting as they are creating that infinitive sign or that figure 8, which represents certain things about life that remain the same and ever changing, or if you will, one thing that inevitably remains the same about life is that it is ever changing. So in a nutshell, that's another thing that homosexuals have a keen sense of, which is recognizing things that are ever changing and things that inevitably remain the same, like the fact that life is ever changing, amongst other things. So we'll get deeper into the other elaboratives of what that can mean in the alchemy and transmutative abilities of you all once we get on through. So first and foremost, I want to head on over to y'all's affirmation. The affirmation in most high resonation and synchronization with y'all's higher consciousness, which is fuck fear. And the other side of that card says it will lie to your face. Fuck fear. So it's given that homosexuals specifically deal with on a supernatural level, and more often than not, probably more than anybody else, with people constantly trying to instill fear in them and project their own fears onto them. And that definitely correlates with that keen sense that you all are meant to have as it concerns. It's like a Queen of Swords energy cutting through the real and the fake of representation, what things look like and sound like versus what it is. Okay, so again, not allowing yourself to be frightened into following someone else's path and or serving someone else's God. And when I said that, I heard, let alone somebody who truly don't even know the meaning in the first place. And of course, 8 is the number of infinity. The pentacles represent coins. It's a money frequency, but also it heavily, because the love and money frequency is of the same frequency. If your love is off, your money gonna be off. If your money is off, your love gonna be off. Wherever your heart's passion is specifically. Okay, your heart's passion. If your heart's passion is off, your money gonna be off, and vice versa. So yeah. So again, y'all have been met with a plethora of people and things that held the frequency of fear and or your worst fears straight up in your face like a motherfucker. It's so many different ways that I can see coming up that, like, child, you know what it is. Okay, and so the lot of that is not even per se to test your might or build your bravery. And when I said that, I heard that ain't got shit to do with shit. They after you because they understand what you represent, and they want to convince you to not see yourself, to not love yourself, to not feel yourself, because they know that if and when you do, you will cut through so much fucking social, societal corruption like a motherfucker amongst actual demonic energy. You will cut through and dissolve and destroy so much actual demonic energy. So they are working overtime to convince you that you are the demon. And understand, but we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with the principalities of good and evil. So our skinfolk ain't kinfolk, right? Which means there are, just like there are dark empaths, of course, there are homosexuals who so happen to operate on a frequency of evil. That ain't because they gay. That's because of the choices that they're making and whatever belief systems they're inviting and allowing and or are. Child, let's just be honest. We got free will, and what's in you come out. Okay, so yeah, people can grow, and also some shit just is what it is. And when shit is what it is in the moment and the growth ain't been shown over a specific course of time, you got to be real about what just is what it is until and unless it becomes something else. So I say all that to say, of course, there are gay people who operate on a frequency of evil, but it's not because they're gay, right? It's not because they're gay. And that same conversation can be taken over into racial conversations as well. All skin folk and kinfolk. For we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with the principalities of good and evil. So you have whatever abilities and gifts and experiences and all of that you have, and it's about how you choose to use it. And that's a high part of what y'all's higher consciousness is about. Being keen. Y'all have a natural sense of intuition when it comes to recognizing how people are using what they got to get what they want and why. What are their motives? And you enhance and purify that ability. Doesn't mean you be for a saint, it's just a sinner who fell down and got up. Okay? It don't mean that you be perfect, but you make mindful effort to tap into yourself as it concerns your intents behind how you use what you got to get what you want and why, what your motives are. Remember what I said about y'all's homosexual higher consciousness that's associated with y'all's homosexuality and the identity of that, the being of that has a multitude to do with monetizing who you are. Exactly, who you are. And how your heart's passion, how your experiences as well contributes to who you are and who you want to be. For you to not only monetize who you are in a physical sense, in a monetary sense, but also build wealth simply from being who you are. Yes, God, which is also why y'all's affirmation is fuck fear. Because one of the main things that has been thrust in y'all's face, no pun intended, is people and things and situations, entities and shit trying to force y'all to fear being you. Child, I can't make this shit up. And let's get on over into y'all's good on Earth Warrior card. And y'all's Earth Warrior is the turquoise changing woman, who in Navajo terms is the turquoise moon goddess and is pronounced Estan at Luhi. I don't know why I always want to sing that part. But it said Estan at Luhi, the turquoise moon goddess of the Navajo. Again, the turquoise changing woman. Always changing, yet never dies, right? So ever changing, yet some things remain the same. Right? Okay, so y'all hear that coming back up? Amongst, she highly represents and has to do with alchemizing and being fruitful and multiplicative through transmutation of the deepest, darkest, most fucked up, traumatic things. Hence why she is a moon goddess. Why and how she is a moon goddess. And turquoise, the stone and the color, is associated with deep, dark trauma healing, especially physical and sexual and spiritual abuse specifically. Spiritual, sexual, and physical trauma specifically, because those things can also be a spectrum as well. So I just want to be specific. I'm gonna read quite a bit from the book of this card, and y'all take what resonates, take the meat, spit out the bone, okay? Because I want y'all to listen to other books that have been written as well, and other words that, you know, being used to minister, if you will, to you about this type of thing, and y'all take it and use it in good faith, all right? Amongst my elaborations and interpretations and prophetic messages that I put down and all of that, y'all think for yourselves also. That's what I be meaning by, go fishing, baby. So because I have, and it's such great things, such great things that also make a whole lot of shit, make a whole lot of sense, and even fill in the blanks of a whole lot of even mainstream stuff. I want y'all to hear as many of these words from this book as y'all possibly can, especially as it concerns the subject that we're on. And like I said, you take what resonates, spit out the bone, and use what you got to get what you want, right? Oh, and only in divine design. So this is the second card in the deck. And what Spirit is saying to me with that is a part of why this is the second card in the deck, and let alone why this is the card that you all have, is because, and I just heard Spirit say, it's breaking the myth, debunking a myth that it's something new about being gay, that it's something new about being homosexual. So this is indicative that y'all are old, ancient souls. And what's so interesting about that, and I didn't really get how it was correlating at the time, but a card that flipped out right before I was fixing to do this is a card that says, ancient shit is cool. So, okay, nothing is a coincidence, but that's definitely what Spirit is emphasizing to you out here, that y'all's spirit is old as fuck, and y'all always been who y'all are. So if you gay in this lifetime, you homosexual or whatever, what have you, in this lifetime, you always been it. You change, you grow, you evolve, but certain things remain the same. So it's given that your spirit, even in past lives, different lifetimes and realms and all of this shit, has always been homosexual. Which means ain't shit new. You ain't new to this, you true to this. Yes, honey. So, further reading, well, getting into the actual reading from the text. I am the turquoise moon mother, and I come to you now with a message of change. This may be change that you want or a change that you fear. But either way, I will show you how to use this change to become stronger, wiser, and more empowered to fulfill your destiny. Do not fear the changes around you and or within you. Trust in the timing of what is happening in your world. Okay? Change is upon you. It is essential for your continued growth, and you do not need to fear it. So right there, that's certainly not a coincidence, because what's been being said throughout the reading and what y'all's affirmation that y'all got. Fuck fear. So this is Spirit communicating, and this Spirit as well communicating that they recognize that to some degree, it's going to always be wishy-washy people around you. And or, well, wishy-washy people facilitate wishy-washy circumstances. So y'all may have dealt with a lot of people who you thought was solid before, and then out of nowhere, they just got exposed as something totally out the way from who they presented themselves to be, who you thought they were and would be, and all that. And so it's like constant disappointment over and 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 over again. So this is Spirit and the turquoise moon goddess coming through to communicate to you all to believe in positive change, that y'all are meant for a lifestyle as well, and meant to be representative and examples of positive change one way or another. And so they're trying to communicate to you that you are not here to be abused. You are not alive to live in sorrow and despair and just have people attacking you and beating you the fuck up all the goddamn time. So they're emphasizing that not only is there a higher consciousness, but also a higher responsibility on you all to be the change that you want to see, specifically as it concerns not. So I want to be very careful about how I word this, because this is not at all saying when they go low, you go high, in the sense of you don't defend yourself, you don't you just tuck your tail and go with the flow, or you just remove yourself all the time, or No, y'all have a specialized purpose of a very intense process of elimination. So y'all have already been through a lot of processes of eliminating fuck shit. So now it's coming time for y'all to come into positive change by adamantly rejecting, conforming to or for anyone or anything that is against you. So this is giving, honestly, going against the grain as energy is quite the opposite. Right? So again, this is not you tuck your tail and go with the flow and work up a corporate ladder or this and that, This is you burn the fucking corporate ladder and you put together a union and you file paperwork and you do documentation and you record shit. And so that's why there was some like negative connotation coming up, because Spirit just said, release your grasp. And I'm using this term educationally, okay? I'm using this term educationally And it has to be addressed so that we could get past it. It's a lot of you all that are overly concerned and imprisoned to try not to be the messy fag. Remember those messages that came out about people trying to shame you for being who you are? You are not a messy fag. You are a neon jag, and it is your purpose to document, record, observe, call a thing, organize all of the things so that you can come back with the receipts and tell people what it is and what the fuck it needs and desires to be, all and only in divine design. Again, y'all's keen sense of recognizing what shit is versus what it looks like, and how people are using what they got to get what they want and what their motives are. And when you recognize shit is not an alignment, when you recognize that people are speaking with a forked tongue, when you recognize that people are homophobic but they still want the cookie in your pocket, they're homophobic but they still want you to do their makeup, they're homophobic but they still want you to fill their quota, they're homophobic. Or they claim that they're not homophobic, but they don't want you to exist in public because, oh my God, my kids might get confused because I'm not being a parent and communicating to my kids the way the fuck I'm supposed to be. It's meant for you to bulldoze that bullshit. And it's meant for you to take your time. What's the rush? Remember the sun in Virgo. And Virgos are very much so the record keepers. The sun represents truth. That's Leo energy. The sister signs of Virgo is Pisces, and they are the planners, the strategists. Virgo goes and gathers all of the information, the records, the paperwork, and all of that, and they bring it to Pisces to strategize it and come up with the game plans and see how we're gonna put it out there. And then that Leo energy puts it out there. Ain't that something? So that'll definitely be a follow-up video that I do on the basically debunking the concept of the messy British cigarette trope. So continuing on reading from the book. Change is upon you. It is essential for your continued growth, and you do not need to fear it. As you allow for this change, remain steadfast in your inner spiritual connection. This gives you courage, trust, peace, and reassurance. And if you will, okay? This gives you courage, trust, peace. What the fuck? This gives you courage, trust, peace, and reassurance. This gives you courage, trust, peace, and reassurance. And you will find ways to navigate the shift so that your life improves through the process. If you are thinking of making a change, you are encouraged to do so without trying to force it. Be open and do your part to the best of your ability, but also tune in to your sense of divine timing. Sound like strategy to me. Asking the universe for help and allowing life to unfold according to its own rhythm of creative, loving intelligence. Esta Nat Luhi is the turquoise moon goddess of the Navajo, known as Changing Woman. She is always changing and yet never dies. As she begins to age, she simply turns to walk to the east, the direction of the rising sun and beginnings, where she is renewed. Her blessings are for nourishment, renewal of energy, and new beginnings. She brings hope and reminds us that life is constantly renewing itself around us and within us. We can always begin again in that spirit of renewal. In the face of loss or destruction, her presence brings comfort, hope, and peace. So that rather than losing faith and giving up because we feel defeated, we have the courage to continue to fight for what matters with refreshed reserves of energy and enthusiasm. If we are struggling with change, either too much of it or perhaps too little, Esta Nat Luhi comes to us with reassuring guidance. When something is in need of repair, Great Spirit knows how to restore it. When something needs to end, Great Spirit will show the way to empty ourselves of the past and prepare for a new beginning. When there is lack or deprivation, the abundance and generosity of the universe shall bring fullness. We do not need to fear change, whether wanted or unwanted. We just need to trust in the good and loving workings of the universe. Esta Nat Luhi reminds us of the divine feminine wisdom and power which expresses itself as life, always flowing, always changing, always evolving. We belong to life and can trust in it. Evolution is not always easy. Often it requires tremendous courage of heart and inner strength. Yet, the turquoise moon mother will help us respond to any change in a way that increases love, light, and wisdom within us and the world. The world, Craig. Turquoise changing woman is also known as the conqueror of monsters and the bringer of blessings, especially when we feel that we are under attack and lacking something that we need. She teaches us that it is safe to rest our unconditional faith in divine grace. We make our efforts as wholeheartedly as we can, but in the gap between what we can do and what needs to be accomplished for beauty, peace, and healing to happen on this planet, divine grace is there as the bridge, the catalyst, the miracle worker. Grace does not do the work for us, but it does empower our efforts and assist us in fulfilling our purpose in ways the mind can rarely anticipate. Grace is the invisible and empowering hand of Great Spirit, reaching for us daily. Turquoise moon mother watches over us with a reminder that we are not in this alone, that the divine is our creative partner in all pursuits. We only need ask for help to be given, to realize that it is already there, waiting for us to receive it. And now here we are, finally, to the affirmation, meditative prayer aspect of the card and portion of the book for the card. So we have, and you should say this aloud, or you can record me reading it. You can use it, for however your own meditative purposes. Memorize it, write it down, whatever, what have you. Do what you do, okay? But watch my shoes. Dance with your boo. Okay, I couldn't resist. All right, so here it is. Here it is. My cat wants to put her 2 cents in as well. Okay. Through unconditional love, I am blessed and empowered to grow through change. Keyword, unconditional love. Through unconditional love, I am blessed and empowered to grow through change. All that I need to evolve into the next expression of my divine destiny is generously provided for me. I surrender into divine blessings for renewal, now open to receive my highest good. So be it. You may also take a screenshot of the card. It has some description in here about meditating, visualizing the card. If you actually had the card, you would hold it to your chest or whatever, or like I said, you can take a screenshot of it and you can print it off. If you have that access to do so, you can print it and you can do it that way. But it goes on to say, hold the card and or visualize it and gaze at the moon behind the goddess, or you can gaze at the actual moon outside. Reflect upon her image and the way her left thumb gently brings focus to her forehead. And with her right palm facing upwards, she reaches to the ground beneath her. Here, she bestows blessings. Take a moment to center yourself in your heart. Are you open and willing to receive a divine blessing? Can you allow yourself to become clear and receptive, trusting in what will be granted when you are ready? You may wish to mirror the pose depicted in the card by placing your own left thumb to your forehead for a few moments as you extend your right arm out, palm facing upwards. You don't have to think. All you need to do is breathe and be. You don't need to think. All you need to do is breathe and be, as though divine blessings are flowing through you from the Divine Mother and into the world. Allow your gaze to become soft and diffused, and when you are ready, close your eyes and relax. Stay in the relaxed state for as long as feels right for you. You may wish to chant, to meditate, or even to fall asleep. Whenever you are ready, awaken and ground yourself with some physical movement. And that is a new regimen that you can add to your healing process, right? Yes. And so just to give some extra elaborations on, what else Spirit is speaking to me from the collection of the cards, and let alone the turquoise moon goddess specifically, was giving me this vision of how a lot of homosexuals, a lot of gay people of the spectrum really, but we're focused on homosexuals right now, how a lot of you all have experienced literally being made orphans because of your sexuality. Some of you all may have family members and people who have on the surface accepted you. Like they'll tolerate you, and they're like, oh, I'm not homosexual, I don't have an issue with you being gay, but they have an issue with what comes with it. And I'm not even talking about the sex. I'm not even talking about marriage. I'm talking about certain spiritual gifts, like what I have communicated about and prophesied about and channeled about and read off through this reading, such as y'all having a keen eye for seeing what things actually are versus what they look and sound like, or what people want you to say and think and feel that they look and sound like. You have a keen sense of using what you got to get what you want and identifying motives behind it, amongst how that shows up in yourself and other people, how they use what they got to get what they want and their motives behind it, right? The things about gathering information and exposing it if and when necessary. They claim, or at least maybe even believe, that they're not homophobic, but they are, because they don't accept the spiritual gifts, the blessings that come along with the identity, the sexuality, the being that you are as a homosexual. That's what I'm talking about. That's what Spirit is talking about, and that's what's been also communicated through the channelings and the cards that have came out through here. You feel me? So amongst that, some of you have family members, parents, and this and that have genuinely accepted you all, and that's a blessing as fuck in itself. So what all of that is coming up in the channeling for me, and what that's the channeling from me for you all, and what that's meant to represent, is that those of you who were born into families committed to hating you, for your sexuality and everything else that comes with that. It's meant for you to, again, be the example of positive change in the way that you reject what rejects you. It don't mean that it has to be in spite. It don't even mean that you have to hold hate in your heart. It don't mean that you don't acknowledge your disappointment, that you don't unpack your sadness. And that's the thing about you all. It is a spiritual gift of you all as well to face fear as well as the frequency of sadness. It just flashed back to me. One of the cards, there was a card that flipped out for y'all in the midst of me channeling these cards and these cards coming out. And it was a card that said sorrow. It's a sorrow card, which was also letting me know that one of y'all's superpowers is transmuting sadness, facing sadness and releasing it to God, for God to co-collaborate with you and transmuting it through alchemy into blessings for you. Meaning, y'all have justified blessings that are meant for y'all, that y'all are entitled to, based off people going out of their way to instill sorrow and fear in y'all. So when you don't face that sorrow, when you don't face that fear, you block your blessings. And that's also a part of the demonization of the feminism of it all, to keep you from facing those emotions, because they know the power of their emotions, of those emotions specifically, because they use them against you all the time to convince you that you need to hate yourself, and let alone convince you that you need to try to be as least feminine as you possibly can because you already gay. You know what I'm saying? So those of you who have the village that, you know, effortlessly in whatever way accepted you, or even if it was a challenge before, but eventually y'all got to a better place, being that example of positive change is meant for y'all to monetize who y'all are, which means also monetizing your experiences, which to do so in good faith and good stability and divine design, y'all have to go through it with y'allselves and y'all's relationship with the higher source, with God. And I know that for a lot of you, you may have church hurt. This ain't church. This ain't got shit to do with church. You ain't got to go to nobody's church. You ain't even really got to read no scripture for this. I know I quoted a couple of scriptures here, but that ain't got nothing to do with Christianity. We talking about spirit, and we all spiritual because we all spirits. You know what I'm saying? So even that, unpacking church hurt and spiritual abuse and all of that. And remember, that's what the turquoise changing woman is all about. Co-collaborating with you and co-collaborating with you in healing the deepest, darkest traumas, specifically physical, sexual, and spiritual abuse. And so also, it was never meant, like in a spiritual sense, in a divine sense, in God's sense, it was not ever meant for y'all to adopt a belief system that y'all aren't meant for true love. It was meant for y'all to properly use that higher sense of consciousness to recognize what it is versus what people are trying to convince you that it is, which is all skin folk ain't kinfolk. So yeah, you might have been born into a family that rejected the fuck out of you, and y'all may share blood, but in real life, in the actual factuals of it all, the spirit is what is everlasting and does not change. Does not die. The spirit is what is everlasting, ever changing, and does not die. Just like what was said, that y'all soul is ancient and y'all's being is ancient, meaning y'all always been gay. Y'all have always been homosexual in every lifetime, in every dimension, in every realm. That's been y'all. Y'all soul is everlasting and ever changing. It does not die. So those spirits and those bodies who you share blood with, but don't share spiritual likeness with, all it really is supposed to mean to you is what you make it. Again, them people you may share blood with, but you don't share spiritual likeness with, they're rejecting you for who you are. Y'all may share blood, but that ain't your family. And it's meant for you to find your family. And God made sure you had the higher consciousness needed to do so. You just gotta allow yourself to be your authentic self, all and only in divine will and favor. Don't mean you don't have your demons. It don't mean you don't have your flaws. In fact, it was a post I seen recently where it was like, people think they always gotta be perfect to be spiritual and this and that. God likes when you're a little fucked up. You need a little bit of everything. Okay? But yeah, dog, it's meant for y'all to use y'all's higher consciousness to be the examples of true love. True love, which is something that has a lot of ever-changing aspects that happen around it. But when love is true, it remains. It's infinitive. It stays the same. It doesn't change just because you gay. It doesn't change just because you told the truth about some shit. It doesn't change just because you exposed some shit that needs to be exposed. It doesn't change just because you got into a homosexual marriage despite the fact that you've been homosexually dating all this fucking time. It doesn't change just because you be peculiar, queer. Okay? Just like there's a lot of people that's been committed to hating you all of your fucking life. But once you love them, right? You had to love them so good and so well and love yourself even more to leave their ass before you compromised your own karma. And or before you did something or something was brought out of you that wasn't resonating with that truth of the love that you actually feel and operate in and the love that you actually are. So again, people trying to have gone out of their way so much so to convince you to not be who you are and to not honor who you are. And who you are is an embodiment of true love. And they want to act like they loving you for rejecting you for being an embodiment of true love. They're projecting and trying to destiny swap. They are the demons, not you. Now, I believe it's about that time where I remind y'all. You give a man a fish to eat for a day. You teach a man a fish to eat for a lifetime. Y'all go fishing, baby. And with all that being said, child, if I do say so myself, honey, I have milk to discount your eye. And I am thoroughly appreciative for the exchange of vibes. And if you're feeling synchronized, please do me a divine design and like, share, and subscribe so that you can be one of the first to be back through these queen quotas for the next time. And be sure to bless that comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you in all ways light, love, healing, and liberation. Emphasis on liberation. Mwah.